Never 100% sure when it starts.
Yeah,
Is
wait for
that
the
it?
light in the corner. Yep.
That's it. Good intro. That wasn't weird. Dev's gonna be really
Yeah.
disappointed though. That wasn't more awkward. Normally we're caught in the middle of a joke when we do it. All right, ready to begin. Hello, gamers. Last week so much happened, but there was no time for OT. Dev was at PSX. I had an away game, and I'm sorry we weren't there. But today, this episode 9, is jam packed with 30% more XP. Why? Because we have Chaffee with us, one of our biggest community members. He builds communities with his love and his great spirit. And we have Nate, the Dad Thomas. Guys, how are we doing today?
What's up?
Good evening, gentlemen.
So formal.
I know, man.
Just like a
Well, you
dad.
become a father, and now you're all
Yeah.
like, "Hello, children. I am here, and I have a beard, and I'm classy and a monocle."
Wisdom.
We're posterity now, so my legacy is going to be reviewed, and
Oh man.
Oh, this is
Okay,
gonna be good.
I love it. Oh, so real quick, let's just jump into the most exciting part. We normally don't do this part of the intro. It's not really our thing, but when in Rome, and we have somebody who is at PSX doing PSX things. Choff, I'd love for you to tell us about it. Like, tell us the moment you showed up to the center, the arena. What
Yeah.
was that first feeling?
So this is my second year going to PSX because
Mhm.
now it's literally like 15 minutes from my house. It's like a straight line down the street.
Okay.
Um, it's Long Beach and Anaheim, like kind of next to each other. So let me back it up a little. I um I get out of work and I'm like, okay, my kids have a performance that night, so let me make sure I get to their play. And I'm like, Anaheim's in the middle, and then I'll just make my way through. So I get out of the car and I sprint over to the arena because last year they ran out of swag bags, so I had to make sure I got my swag bag this year. And it was just like there were already people lined up. It was really neat because it's full of like you know just community members, so it's like everyone you see there is there for PSX, is there to enjoy it, is there to have fun. So it's like, man, this is so awesome. Energy's nice. So then I could only be there for a minute and I immediately sprint back to the car so I can be back. But then the next day I get there and it was just rad. I mean, the floor's open. It's really an event that's for the community. It's for gamers. Um, what I found really interesting this year is that it was an older crowd. Um, it's kind of like the gamers are aging up, so it was dudes my age, like, it seemed like it was a lot of late 30s, um, early 40s kind of crowd. Um, but so it was just like you're in there, and then when you get to have so much hands-on, it was very VR heavy, and that was really cool because um, on my podcast, we were talking about like, well, what will they have next? Because I felt like, what was that? Like, was it Paris Game Show where Sony like just dropped all kinds of stuff? Can't remember.
I don't think they did much this year at Paris. Or are you talking about different years?
Maybe it was a different like gaming event, but it was like they dropped all kinds of info at E3, and then I think they like unleashed a few more games or maybe more footage in Paris or something like that. And then from there, I was like, what are they going to have next for PSX? Because that's sort of like their love letter event to like the fans. But I had told my partner, I was like, dude, it's got to be VR. It's going to be a VR thing. And so going to PSX, I was just like, yeah, it's VR everywhere. But it was awesome to just have so many hands on like the different styles of things. So not only are you doing like, your first person shooters and stuff like that, but a lot of like walking sims, a lot of platformers going on. So you really got to see the variety. Um, but one of the best experiences that I had at PSX this year and last year is that you actually talk to a lot of the developers. You get to talk to the publishers. Like they're there just to kind of kick it. Um, Whereas like E3 is very divided, I feel like. Like, I mean, I've gone to that a few years in a row, and it's like it's fun and it's amazing. It's like super electric and it's wild, and you lose your head. But PSX was just like, it's for you. You got a question? Ask me. Yeah, I created the game, so let's talk about it. Like I was talking to Woods. We had a really, really good long conversation, and it did kind of like trip me out a little bit because I was just like, I wonder if she just knows that I'm some like regular dude. You know, like the conversation was going on that long that I was like, huh, like you're really engaging me in this and not just like giving me the here's the facts, here's the info, blah blah blah. Now keep it moving because I got to talk to the next guy. You know, she started talking to me about her kids and her husband, and I was just like, this is really cool. Like, you know,
Yeah,
breaking
those
down
are
the
the
boundaries.
conversations that I love. Like that's the good stuff.
Yeah. So it was just rad. And then, you know, you get to see all these other things, you know, games that you know are going to be there. Call of Duty was there. Battlefront 2 was there. Far Cry was showing off its multiplayer. But you truly, you know, you definitely have to be a Sony fan to be there. You're not going to see Xbox stuff. You're not going to see Nintendo stuff. There were maybe like one or two guys I saw walking around like top to bottom decked out like in Xbox gear or like Nintendo gear, and I was like,
Why?
you're just trying to pick a fight, man. Chill out, you know, like you know. But
I'm not saying we know somebody at PSVG who would do that. But we know somebody at PSVG who would do that.
there might be that person around, you know.
Coach
But it's really cool though to go to an event like this because I had so many conversations. Like I go alone. Like a lot of my friends are just not into gaming. You know, like their thing is just like just dad stuff. You know, like talking about mowing the lawn and playing some football, stuff like that. You know, way.
Can you give me the cliff notes of that because I need that.
You know, like they want to talk about like fantasy league football, and not that I'm like against all that stuff. All that stuff is fun and it is part of the norm. But when they start talking, and I'm like, they're like, "What'd you do this weekend?" I'm like, "Oh man, so like I was playing Hellblade, and the story in there is amazing." And they're like, "I don't know what you're talking about," and I'm like, "Okay, do you ever play Last of Us?" No, I don't know what you're talking about. The last game I played was, and I'm just like, "Yeah, okay. I guess that's why they keep making Sonic over and over because it's for like." Guys like you know.
Yeah.
So but it was just awesome to go to this because I had so many conversations with just people, you know, like I could turn to someone and be like, what do you think of this game, man? And they're just like, oh, it's awesome, or I don't really like it, or yeah, I've been playing this series since like the first iteration, you know. And you just have this active engagement, and there isn't that why are you talking to me, you know, or like we're strangers, that boundary. It's just like we're all there for the same reason. So that's really, really cool. Like I went to play I got hands on Detroit. Oh
That looks
man,
so pretty.
it's really, really good. I mean, just the little like demo that I played, it's intense. It's really, really intense. Like did you guys play Heavy Rain?
Yeah.
Okay. It's, you know, it's still that same gameplay style where you're like searching around and, you know, just investigating as you go through, but you can tell they took Heavy Rain and then said, how do we make that better? How do we make it more intense? And how do we make it more dramatic? And because even the level I played, like I was stressing, man. My hands are sweating. And the person who was running the section, like he comes over and he's like, what'd you think? And I was like, oh, this is a day one purchase for me. Like I knew I was gonna buy it like right from the jump, but no, this is like definitely like a must play. And then throughout that, I had been texting back and forth with Dev. I was like, let's meet up, man. Like, you know, I met him at E3 last year. There was like a Married to the Games hangout. And so that's the first time we met. Side note, if you ever get to meet Dev, his teeth are in, like, they kind of blind you white. So when I talk to him, I'm just like staring at his teeth the whole time. Like, dude, man, you use all kinds of Crest White strips or something.
I'm planning this summer. Me and Dev are going to meet up and play a one-on-one game of basketball.
Sick.
It's the weird. Every time we finish the show, we probably have like a 10-15 minute talk after about hoops. And so I'm like, you know what? I have summers off.
Yeah.
I just need to make this trip. And so I told him that today, and he was laughing. He's like, let's go. I was like, I'm serious, man. You might be fast, but I'm really tall.
Yeah, you're like, I got you on this. I don't know, man.
I'm like,
He's not a shorty guy either. I mean, I'm short. I'm 5'6". Everyone's taller than me, so I guess there's that. But yeah, we got to hang out with him, and I got to meet his Destiny crew, and that was a fun experience too, because it was that whole like communal vibe. Met his guys, kind of hung out with them. PSX, the PlayStation Experience, does something that's really cool too, and they have these trading cards. So as you go to different like as you go to check out different games, they give you like a trading card. You can scan the card for like sort of like in-game incentives, like themes, avatars, stuff like that. And then you collect the whole deck. And so it was fun to run around. It kind of forces you to see the different things, because then you get caught up in the, oh, I have 10 cards. Let me get 5 more today. And I think there's like 33 in total. I caught a few with Devin and his crew, and then he texted me the next day and he was like, I'm down to my last card. I collected them all. And I was like, man, that's really cool, because it just keeps it going. It's just, it's that carrot on a stick. Like, well, let me do one more and let me do another. But so I went to both days, and that kind of lowers the pressure too, because then you don't feel like you got to squeeze it all in one day. But it's definitely a fun experience. I feel like any age can go and enjoy it. Guys and girls, definitely go check it out. Like one thing I like about it a lot as well is that it doesn't have the it's not like overly sexualized, like the booth babes don't exist there really. It's just like,
oh, that's awesome.
yeah. So it's really about the game and not about, because one of the first comments I made to Devin was I was like, dude, it's not as like it doesn't feel like Las Vegas, bright lights and flashing, and it was just like it was about the games. And so he's like, yeah, I feel it's a lot calmer, because again, going back to like going to E3, it's like, oh, you'll have a seizure, like legit. It's like everything's flashing, everything's going off, and it's like super vibrant. It's a fun experience, but this was just different because it was about like, come play the games, come enjoy them, But going back to like the time I spent with VR, man, I played VR when it was still Morpheus. And that was a fun experience, and seeing how much it's progressed and the variety that's out there. I'm like, ooh, I kind of want to get the PlayStation VR. But then also, I know if I were to get PlayStation VR, my wife would laugh me out of the house. So that's why I don't own it yet.
my wife loves the VR. Like she jumped in, she would get an hour here, in there. And then one day she got sick playing Job Simulator.
Oh,
and
really?
has not asked to play since. Like it was one of those, I'm good. Me and VR need a break from each other.
Yeah.
So man, I love hearing the good stuff about PSX, just because like 2 years ago, Dan Anthony, someone who we bring up every once in a while.
Yeah.
And he went, and then I remember him telling me and Nate when he got back, I'm a PS4, I'm a Sony fanboy for life now, guys. Like this was everything I could imagine to be.
Switched.
Yep. And then hearing you say it, like it makes me like, it's really hard for me to take my kids to like cons here, like my students, because it is sexualized. There is this mature content. There is this stuff that I'm not comfortable going with them to.
Yeah.
And not being able to like go do that together. And then hearing about PSX, like I would love to be able to go to that with my kids. I know it's like a pipe dream. That's a very expensive thing. Maybe that's our senior trip in a couple of years. But hearing about like my jealousy factor, it's pretty high. Like I love hearing all the stories.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a really good, really positive experience. I have a son who is 9 years old, and with no question, I would have taken him with me. And not felt like, hey, cover your eyes, kind of.
Yeah, don't look at this.
Don't look at this. The only thing that would have probably really freaked him out is that there was over in the Days Gone area, they had it like gated off, and there were people dressed like in like Walking Dead quality, like zombie costumes. They were super freaky, like where I was like, man, they did an amazing job. So that would have given him nightmares for a few days. But other than that, like I wouldn't have questioned anything else. Very like family friendly, very appropriate. But I also didn't take him too because I just wanted to like have my time and be just like, I'll come and go when I'm ready, you know. So it's perfect. But I highly recommend it, man. If you
Nice.
get the opportunity to come for that weekend, do it. Like it's worth it. Fly from Texas to Long Beach. It's a quick flight. It's the closest you're gonna get there.
Yeah.
You stay in the area, we're good.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So now that we've gotten our PSX fix, Nate, what's new in your life, my friend? What's going on?
He doesn't have anything.
Anything happened last couple weeks?
Oh, played a little bit of some video games here and there, and
Sounds good.
saw Star Wars. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was a movie.
Yeah,
That was a movie.
and I witnessed the birth of my son.
Ah, that's life changing, almost altering of most people's existence.
Yeah,
very much.
So, if you had to choose one to talk about, Star Wars or baby, what are you feeling?
I mean, either one is a good topic to discuss, but obviously I'm all about my son. Very cool.
That's so cool, man. So I will tell you, you texted us late at night saying you were going in. I did not sleep for like an hour and a half. I laid there going, universe, take care of Mom and Nate. Keep Mom and Nate safe. I like try tossing and turning, and I'm like, is Mom and Nate fine? I hope Mom and Nate's fine. And I was like, should I text him? And I'm like, he's at the hospital with his family having a child. He does not have time for your messages, Mo. Go to sleep. And I woke up in the morning, baby's born, mama's good, life's good. And I was like, pat myself on the back. Good job sending those positive vibes.
Appreciate that, buddy.
It's what I do, man. I have a special gift of making other people's news make me happy about myself. I don't know how I do it.
Yeah, but I mean, definitely it's a life-changing experience. I know, Mo, you don't have any children of your own as of yet, but
2 fur babies, and I love them.
But you have at least one son, right, Chaffee?
Yeah, I have the 9-year-old son and a 5-year-old daughter.
So when your firstborn came along, were you just a nervous wreck trying to figure out everything that you could try to do to make things happen, but realize you were completely powerless when you got there?
Yeah, pretty much. It really was like, okay, so just to I'll make it really short because it is more about you, and especially like, it's an exciting experience. My son, so my wife was like in labor. She was in a mild labor for I think maybe like 48 hours or something like that. My son just didn't want to come out, and we was just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and it was like he said, I didn't know what to do. Like my wife was like, I'm bored. Why don't you go check on the dog or go get us something to eat? Like it was just like, sure, whatever you want, because they couldn't like take the baby out, you know? And then in the end, we ended up having a cesarean, and my son was born on the 4th of July. But so immediately after that, I'm curious, like, did your feeling like, so when my son was born, I immediately flipped into, and I had the same experience like when my wife and I got married, like I'm responsible for you. Like it was like dad mode kicked in where I was just like, oh, it's not just about me and hanging out and kicking it. Like, and I need to take care of you right now. Did you go through an experience like that?
Well, I mean, as soon as you like see him, and especially like when I held him in my hands, it was just one of those things that's like, wow, like it's hard to put into words, hard to explain.
It really is. It really is.
It does change your perspective on everything. Because now, like you said, you're responsible for this life. You have the next, well, as long as you're alive, you have this child now.
Yeah.
So it's I was in awe, you know what I mean? And I've never really felt like that before. Like, obviously when I was married, my wife, very happy, everything was like, great for the marriage day and everything there. But this is the most life-changing experience I've ever had was having my son born. It's just, and I'm just glad everything went well, with the delivery and everything, and it was healthy and everything happened that was good. And now, like, he's 2 weeks old, right? And I feel like it doesn't feel like it's been. It feels like it's been more than 2 weeks, but then it doesn't feel like it has been in 2 weeks. It's just weird. I just don't know how to explain it. It's just such a great experience, and like there's definitely a sense of fulfillment that is coming with this, and a sense of, like you said, responsibility, and trying to make sure that I put things into perspective now. Obviously, gaming is going to change for me. It's not like you said, it's not about hanging out anymore. It's about, this is my family. It's not just me and my wife and my dogs. It's me and my family.
No, you're totally right. Like, I mean, because that's where my mindset was too. It was like, because you talked about the time thing. I think it was about a month in, and it's like time shifted, and I started. I mean, I still had the memories, but it felt like he was always there. It's not that I forgot the past, but it was just like everything. It was like a reset button. Like, so from now forward, this is us. And so that was like, just everything changed it. But you're definitely right. It's hard to put it into like coherent sentences because it's just like, I don't know, it's different feelings. It's way different. But yeah, all those shifts and all those changes. Have you, and I know it's 2 weeks in, so you probably haven't yet, but have you attempted the I'm feeding the baby and holding the controller at the same time move? Because that's a real dad move.
I feel like that's like the first thing I would try to do if I ever get stuck with having a kid.
Stuck with? He said stuck with having a kid.
I'm sorry. Like, if people understand, like, I'm not in any place to want to have a child. Like my wife wants one, and we have the talk, and like I keep explaining, I'm like, this is how I feel. Da, da, da. And eventually, we're gonna come to that medium where we do have one. If I can't get another third dog, that'll fill that void. But I think that would be like my first thing. Like, be like practicing with like the baby, like a fake one.
Yeah.
Getting your controller on.
Yeah.
I have not yet fed and put the controller in hand, but I have had him in my hands, holding him with the TV remote.
Yeah, that's a good start. That's a good start.
It's baby steps. Get it?
Because you have one.
Already with the dad jokes. 2 weeks
Love it. All right. Well, we've talked about PSX. We've talked about babies. And now it's time to get the OT kicked off.
All right.
So, guys, this show, of course, is built on two main ideas: sharing memories, which we've already started to do, and unpreparedness, because we believe being unprepared is the only way to prepare for the unpreparable.
I'm prepared to be unprepared.
So, have I prepared you guys in any way, shape, or form for the things we're going to ask you tonight?
No.
Yes.
Oh, I heard it.
Well, there was this one time when I was on. Never mind.
You always try to come up with something that makes me confused, thinking I told you something I wasn't supposed to tell you, but then you don't. And then, okay, back in. So our memory for today is a moment in life where you overcame adversity in gaming and in life. So I will go first and I will share so you guys can have some time to prep your brains, get ready to share yours. My moment in gaming was an achievement that I was trying to get, and I believe it was Madden 17. Me and Dan practiced going back and forth. We spent an entire game trying to block a punt because that was one of the missable achievements, was blocking a punt. And because we would try punt block, we tried jumping the snap, we tried everything. Didn't work. We spent an entire, I think we did one full 15-minute quarter-long game. So 60 minutes of Madden trying to block punts, just punting back and forth. Couldn't get it. And one day, I got lucky. I blocked it just goofing around, playing online with somebody. And I let Dan know. I was like, I finally did it. And he was like, way to go. I don't really care about achievements, but good for you. And I was like, this is awesome. The other one was after I finished my Bachelor's of Arts, I got accepted to the University of Columbia to pursue my next degree. And it was always a dream of mine to go to an Ivy League school and to go into that culture. And so my wife and I, we were ready. We were making the plan. We were looking at it. And then we looked at the cost of living. and we looked at the debt we would be incurring. And at that moment, I had to choose between being a husband and going into just teaching and saying, I'm not going to go down this other road because taking care of her is first, or we move together and risk it. We go, you know what? Let's throw caution to the wind. Let's just go. Let's go make this work. And after a lot of talks and a lot of prayer, we came together and said, hey, we're going to stay. We're going to look for teaching jobs. And me and the University of Columbia, that's going to be a future thing. That's going to be a not right now. And so that the reason that was so tough was because the entire time I was thinking about going up to New York and going to the University of Columbia, I wasn't thinking about it as far as like how this was going to affect our marriage, how this was going to affect our bank account, how this was going to, I was only thinking about how this was going to impact what I wanted and where I wanted to go. And so when you finally realize like that partnership of a marriage, partnership of a relationship, and how important that communication is, and like how you guys were talking about thinking about your kid, I had to think about my wife, and I believe we'd only been married a year, and seeing that growth, and it literally went from being a really hard time in our marriage to becoming what the stepping stones to a really good season of our marriage. Mm-hmm. And so those would be mine. So we'll kick it off to you, Chav. Talk about some adversity and how you overcame it.
So let's see. Gaming adversity for me actually has less to do about the games and kind of goes back into the realm that Nate's stepping into. And that's like, and it kind of ties in with like your talk too. Making time, like making that game time, because there's always a balance. Like the one thing I do prioritize is like I always tell people, like I don't live for work. I work to live. And I live for being there for my family, being there for my kids. I have both my parents are together. My parents have always been around, but they were that very like 9 to 5 and, not super engaged, And so it's like, no, I give it 110. I'm like, whatever my wife needs, I'm going to try to make it happen, make sure that she's fulfilled and happy, make sure that my kids know that I love them, that I care for them. But then when I want a game, I'm like, oh, but I got to get this game time in, So it's like, I have at least 4 times a week, I'm like, okay, tonight, everyone goes to bed, 9:30, 10 o'clock, that's going to be my game time. And then I have to like stay up. So the biggest adversity is fighting sleep so that I can game. Like that's the boss battle for me.
I'm not going to name any names, that some people in this chat right now have fallen asleep on me while gaming. I'm not saying who, but it wasn't Chuck.
It wasn't me. But because it's just like when I do, because I do value my game time too. Like it's such, some people like to, like you said, like I was talking about the other dads I hang around, they really love their sports. And I'm like, that's rad. Love what you love. Like, do it. This is my form of enjoyment, entertainment, escape. Like, this is my thing. And so when I get that time, I'm like, I have to make sure I carve out all the other areas and make sure that they're like fulfilled so that I can do that. And then because once I'm in it, I'm like locked in. I'm like, yeah, this is my time. I'm really, really enjoying it. But let's see, I think life-wise, it's kind of always been, it might sound negative, but it's not. It's always been a little bit of an uphill battle. Like in my family, I'm an outlier in the sense that, we follow the very stereotypical Latino backgrounds, get married young, maybe have some kids young, maybe have a very blue-collar type of job, hands-on type of stuff. And so growing up, it was like when I finished high school, the first words I heard from some family members were like, so you're going to get a job now? And I was like, well, I mean, I kind of do have a job, but I'm planning to go to college. Why? I don't want to live in the city. Like I want to live in another place. And I was dreaming bigger, and so for a lot of my family members, friends and stuff like that, they couldn't see it. They just like, everyone stays in this smaller, I grew up in like Ventura County, which is maybe like an hour or so north of Los Angeles. And so it's just like, "No, we don't do that." And I was like, "Oh, no, but I do," you know? And so it was just like little things like that, like where, whereas like my other cousins and stuff like that might have gotten into like gang culture and whatnot, I was way into like um, music and skateboarding. And so that was always like, oh, that's him. He's the one who skates. Like he's the different guy. But it was just like, it helped me build me because then I was confident in who I was. So then I can always stick my neck out and say, I know why I'm doing this. This has a purpose. And so then as the years progress, like I did my college applications on my own. I moved from Ventura County to Long Beach, like on my own. Learned how to set up my bills on my own, like moved myself literally in my car, moved all my furniture like on my own, because it was just like in the end, and this is, not having a wife or, anyone else at the time with me, it was just like you learn how to be comfortable with you and make those decisions on your own, because you don't always have someone there for you. I mean, now I'm married and my wife is my best partner ever, and we do that collaborative dialogue like you were saying, and sometimes you have those hard times, but sometimes it is just you alone, and you got to learn to do it without like totally mentally collapsing.
Oh yeah.
And so going through all that and then going in through my educational career as well, I started off as a teacher. I started off as like a playground rec aide. I knew I wanted to go into education, but it was like from rec aide to substitute to classroom aide to, now a classroom teacher, realizing that I loved inner city and I didn't want to be in the suburbs. So flipped from Long Beach to Compton and was there for like over a decade. And then realizing from there that I was a better mentor than a teacher. Like I was a good teacher, but I was like, I can affect more lives if I was out of the classroom. And then that led me towards being an administrator. And so it's like, again, taking those next steps where I'm like, oh, this is scary. Like, this is going to be hard, but everything's worked out, like I have a good family. We have a good home. We get by as best as educators can do.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't feel those like desperate stresses, and I'm happy with the decisions I've made. So, it's built resiliency.
Good stuff. Nate, battling that adversity, man. Tell us about it.
Let's go with gaming first.
Okay.
I wanted to verify my understanding of the word adversity, because I thought I knew what it meant, and I had a general idea. But just to reiterate, it is difficulties and misfortunes. So
Yes.
that's what adversity means. And I was thinking for gaming on a misfortune side was the Batman. Let's see, Arkham Origins. I love that game. It was
Yeah.
it was fun. I was playing through it. I was really enjoying the story. I thought it did a great, job with telling it and everything. And I could feel like I was getting close to that end. But something happened. And I think it was like, 90% or so. And my file was lost. Like,
Yikes.
like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so close to the end of this thing. I want to know what the story, like where it goes from here, but I don't want to play through it all again because I've done it all. So stupid. So, and at that point, I'd probably put 20 hours at least into the game, and I was like, what do I got to do? I mean, I was waiting a few days just to see if like there was any way to bring it back or see if there was an update that came out that fixed it or anything, but nothing did. So just to move the needle again on that, I was like, well, do I just watch the ending and go here? But then I was like, no. You know what? I kind of had the Coach Mo effect with the achievements. I was like, I want the achievement to say that I beat this game.
Yes.
I did. Dang it. So I went back, put another 20 hours to get where I was, but I moved a little bit quicker this time because I was doing the completionist route the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing everything. Riddler trophies, all the little side missions and everything.
Riddler trophies. I still hate the Riddler trophies. Like, I love the mechanic. I love the way they set them up. I hated finding it.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where this time I just mainlined the story to get back to where I was, to see if I got back there, what happened? What would happen? If it was going to crash again, if I was never going to be able to beat this game or what. So I just got back there as soon as I could and completed the story finally. then went and did the rest of the little stuff that I was doing before. But actually, I don't think I ever went back and completed like 100% of that game with all the trophies and everything, just because I was so ticked off with it.
No, that makes sense.
But I wouldn't put it past myself to go do it again at some point if I wanted to. Like if they did a re-release or something like that. But that's like the odd duck of that gaming group is that one's just not recognized by anyone as being a game.
See, I thought that one was fine. The one that I didn't like was Blackgate.
I never played that one.
It was weird.
Yeah. It was just, I was like, this is not what I'm used to, guys. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you took a giant step backwards.
Yeah.
So, like, even on the Vita, it was not fun to play. And I loved playing stuff on the Vita. Like, I still, like, I'll tell people right now, I preferred playing Destiny 1 on the Vita. Because I would do the remote play, and I loved it. Because half the time you're just grinding out anyways. So
yeah, but my Vita gets a ton of use as well. But you're totally right. I felt like Blackgate, and it might sound weird, but it might make sense. I felt like it was a Super Nintendo game that got reskinned for like that gen. I was like, this is like, it feels archaic.
Yes. No, I would agree with that. All right, Nate, life adversity.
So this harkens to the difficulties part. So obviously my adversity is not going to be as moving, I think, as what you guys have talked about. But with me, you'd never, well, maybe you would, but I grew up as a shy kid.
What?
Totally.
No. The voice of that's entertaining.
Which is still weird for me in a lot of ways, but I had to kind of really work to break out of the shell. Like I was totally in school the kid that would not want to talk to anybody. That was just kind of perfectly fine being myself. I didn't want to raise my hand to answer questions, even though I knew the answer. I just didn't want to talk. I didn't want to. I had like a fear, I think, of in school at least, of being wrong. Of like, I think I know what I'm saying is right, which is why I looked at the definition of adversity. I want to make sure that what I'm saying is actually correct, and that would hinder me from wanting to express myself in a lot of different ways. Like, I don't want to make a fool of myself. I've never wanted to make a fool of myself, even though that can be fun sometimes. I always just want to be accurate. You know, if I say something to someone, I want them to know that what I say is factual and that I've done my research. And so I would never want to like speak out for anything, which just kind of made me be shy overall. Like I would talk to a few kids that had similar interests in school, just about gaming and stuff like that. But that's about it. Like I wasn't the guy that wanted to go and have everybody like him, be the class, you know, everybody like, ooh, it's Nathan over there, ha ha. But I was just the guy that was just wanting to be quiet, over in the corner, just chilling, doing my own thing, making sure I get everything accurately done and take care of myself. I helped out people if they had questions, and I helped them out, but publicly I didn't want to express anything. So I've worked to overcome that a little bit in my adulthood. Obviously, the podcasting stuff has been a result of that. Me wanting to just break out of my norm and my shell and trying to find that voice that I never really expressed before, and you know, being able to say things, which I realize that stuff I say is not always accurate now, so it's okay. I kind of got past that now. But it was hard to kind of break out of that shell to want to talk, which I don't know if you guys as educators have seen this in you know, in children that you teach at school. Like they know the answers, they have, you know, A's in their tests, but they just don't want to talk. I don't know if that's a common thing or not. Is that something that you've seen?
When I was in biology, you would always have, it was normally a female student who would feel like that wasn't a class she was supposed to be good at. Like I constantly would have those kids where I'm like, no, like your paper was amazing. Like your understanding chemical formulas at a level that most freshmen shouldn't. One of the hardest things to transition to when you get to chemistry is understanding when like electrons and things leave, or when molecules leave. And so like you would write the equation H2 plus O2 equals H2O. And there are people who go, well, time out. Like, where does this extra oxygen go? And you go, don't worry about it. You don't need to know. You need to understand that it takes H2 as a whole and O2 as a whole. They come together and they form the H2O by pushing an oxygen out and making that bond. And this young lady, she would know these things. And I nicknamed her Scooby. So I'm going to say Scooby. But in class, not a peep. You would not hear her say a word, because it was more the fear of the group thinking she was a know-it-all or seeing her in a different way than it was the getting it wrong. And so yeah, there are a lot of kids that maybe they're afraid to speak up in those situations just because of a confidence thing. More so because like it's that whole understanding that room is for knowledge, not for popularity. And that's one of the hardest things to break in the world we're in right now.
Yeah, and I'm on the opposite end, whereas you're like in secondary. I'm in elementary. I'm with the little guys, and yeah, that's always a real thing, because you have those kids who are extroverts, and then they're loud and they're boisterous, and at times they overly dominate the room, and then you have your quieter ones who have the information, and some of them it's a little more crippling than others, where they just don't want to speak. But I would always try to find a way to slowly draw it out of them and allow for different avenues too. So it's like, you want to write it, you want to slip your answer to me in a note? Sure, let's do it. You want to do it on the whiteboard? Why not? You want to, like, I really opened like the platform to like, you want to sing it, you want to dance it, just, I don't care. Like, whatever you're comfortable and how you want to communicate it to me, let's do it. Back in the day when the DS came out, you remember how it used to have, like, you could set up like chat rooms with the DS. A lot of my kids had a DS, and so I was just like, I used to call it DS Wednesdays, and they would come to class, they would bring their DS, and then I would set up chat rooms, and then assign them into little groups, and then they would respond to me, via the little chat, and that really opened up a lot of the kids, because then they would start actually verbalizing to me like, oh, I really like this, and this was fun, and then started articulating, because I had one girl who was like a full-blown selective mute, and she had a lot of trauma in her life, but by 3/4 in the year, she was fully like communicating with me and laughing out loud, and her mom was like, she hasn't spoken to like anyone aside from her, like her mother and her brother, in 2 years. And so she's like, you really helped her communicate through, but it's about getting to know people and really trying to draw it out of them, not forcing them. Like, you let me know what you're comfortable with and I'll accommodate you, and that on my end, that's kind of how I was working through, but it's real,
No, I'm with you there. Whew. Nate, you got anything else, brother?
I think that's about it.
All right.
My adversity stuff.
Okay.
No, I did. Nate's thing about the video game save thing reminded me of one. If you let me just chime in real quick.
I'll go ahead.
This was the first BioShock, and which I love that game so much. And do you remember on G4 there used to be like their video game show called like X Play?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm playing BioShock, and I remember like I had to go do something, so I pause, save, shut down the game, and then come back, and I'm watching X Play, and they're like, hey, there's this game glitching bug that's only affected a few people, so just remember, if you're in the theater and you see the guy come out, just don't pause, don't save.
Ooh.
And then I go, I just did that, like I literally just did that. So I boot up the PlayStation. Yeah, it was all gone. Game glitch, save gone, and it's like 3/4 like into the game. I was like, okay, I'm really enjoying this. So I had to go all the way back, but I was that one dude that caught the glitch, and it was just like in minutes. I had just seen it on the show, and I was like, oh, it's so dumb. Like, why did I have to save right there?
Oh, man. Whew. Yeah, the save problems, I never had any really bad ones, so I got really lucky that way.
Yeah, same here. Like, that's the only one I think has really hit me hard.
Ooh, all right. Here, we got these questions.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I gotta carry the torch of Dev here.
No.
And I gotta represent him because
Dev,
I was asking you questions.
if I find out that Dev told you to do this, We're gonna have a problem. We're gonna have a problem. Episode 10, Dev.
Oh no, he didn't tell me to do this. I listened to the show. I know what's up.
All right, I'm ready.
All right. So in gaming, what is the one thing that would make you want to spend like $1,000 on a game? Because we've heard about the microtransactions and all that stuff, right? But if there was something in the game that you would just pour money into out the wazoo, what would it be?
Okay. So I've yet to do the microtransaction stuff. It's not for me. I think I threw $20. It was a gift card I got to Pokemon Go just because it's free. Because my wife and I did it for an entire summer. It got us out doing stuff together. So I was like, "You guys deserve some money." So I had one of the gift cards for iTunes, and I gave it to him. I still have all the gold from that basically left over.
Yeah.
But if they took Halo and Destiny and No Man's Sky and were able to put it together, and I had to spend money to maybe fuel up the jet to fly across the multiverse to go discover a planet, to go save people, that would be a game that you would get me hook, line, and sinker in. Because part of the reason Destiny loses me, and it is the reason like I'm not as in love with Destiny as everybody else. I really enjoy the game. I care about the game. The reason I'm not like in love with it is because it's so easy to get disconnected. Jump to Io, jump to Mars, jump to Venus, jump to this, fight this fight, rinse and repeat. If I had to actually fly in that spaceship that I built and it could only reach a certain planet or a certain area because it wasn't strong enough, now I've got to spend time mining and making it better and protecting the galaxy and helping all these people. You take that Halo, I prefer a Halo story over a Destiny one, just plain and simple. Even a bad Halo story, I prefer over Destiny. Okay, I would take 5 over the story from Destiny 1. Okay, and people say there wasn't a story. If there was, it just wasn't a good story. I would take 5 over Destiny 1. But you put all these things that they do so good together into one, and yeah, you get my money. You would get my money. I would pay for a monthly service for that. I'd be like, oh, $25 a month play. Here you go, take it.
That would be pretty rad if you could do, like, I never even thought about that, because you're right, like that disconnect, I've totally felt the same way, where it's like when you jump from one planet to another, it's like it's the most boring part of the game for me, because I'm like, I'm not doing anything except watching this cutscene of my ship fly.
Could you imagine? Instead you're actually flying the ship.
Yeah, or the fact that, like, thinking about, like, taking your idea a step further, maybe this is what you were going towards, but like, okay, my ship can only get me from Earth to this planet.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to work hard enough, craft or whatever, get enough elements to get a better engine, to get a better ship, and not just wait for the random drop or something like that. Like, that would be really cool. And then you can fly it across, maybe get into like a little, space battle or something like that along the way. Just something that's like, in a sense, like a mini game.
Yeah.
To get between, A to B. That would be really cool. That would be awesome.
I would liken it to Assassin's Creed Black Flag and like your traversal of the oceans to and from places. Mm-hmm. I would want that experience, but in my spaceship going to and from planets.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yep. So yeah, that's what would get my money, Nate.
Nice. So for me, the thing, I hate microtransactions. I've not hidden that fact. But for me, what would get like $1,000 a year would be if I could pay for a service that gives me access to everything. Every DLC, every game, every console, every online service, put it all together into one thing. I'll give you $1,000 a year.
So Ultimate Gamefly.
Well, I mean, Ultimate Game Pass.
Okay.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
But yeah. That I think that'd be the thing for me, because I don't know, piecemeal stuff I don't like. But if I can just have everything, like, I'm always a big fan of if I pay $100 for the Ultimate Edition of the game, I want everything. Like, give me all the content. And I paid like $100 for the Assassin's Creed Gold Edition, but there's still content that they're putting out here that I don't get because I don't get it. It's just so stupid because of microtransactions.
Yeah.
If I pay you $100, give me all the stuff. But if I pay you $1,000, you better give me all the stuff.
Yeah.
This was also the first Assassin's Creed game where I did not get the statue clutch edition because I couldn't find one. I just want to point that out. I was sad.
So what you're saying is I should keep an eye out because I have seen them around.
If you see that statue in that, or you just let me know, I will send money your way.
We'll work it out. But yeah, I'm kind of with Nate on that too. Like I think the first time I felt really, really burned was with Destiny 1. I bought the season pass, and then it was like I only got so much content, and then there was still more after, and I was like, well, what's the point of the season pass then? Like, for just this limited, because remember it came out later where no one knew what like the Comet was when it was still like under its code name, and I was like, man, this is not cool. Like I thought I paid for everything, and now there's still more. I'm not okay with that. Or going back to one of your favorite games, the Minecraft story mode, when
love it.
When people bought like the season pass and then weren't there extra episodes after it or something like that?
No. So what they did was so there was the story mode, which was 5 episodes, and that was the full story. Like that was story front to beginning. Then there was episodes 6, 7, 8 that they did extra, just because like they were ideas that the devs had that of that story, and they're like, you know what, we've got some time. Let's just make it and add it on as DLC. So even though like the complete edition only had episode 1 through 5, the DLC was episode 6, 7, 8, and so people were like, well, we wanted the whole story. You have the whole story.
Yeah.
This is DLC. You have to pay for that.
But it's like my Destiny connection though, where you're like, but I thought I bought everything that would be, and kind of going like back to what Nate's saying, if I can get more story, more avatars, more coin, whatever it is, give it to me all, then I'll take it all. But when there's that little side one that's like, oh, but we're gonna do episode 6, 7, 8, it's like I would have liked to have had those.
No, I hear you there.
Yeah. And I'll play story mode at some point. I'm looking around. Anyone sees an Xbox deal or a PlayStation deal on that Minecraft story mode, let me know.
Ending of episode 5, it's still the hardest moment in gaming for me.
Oh, you see, I gotta know, man. I gotta know.
All right. Okay. So,
do you guys know if that Minecraft story mode is on disc, or is it only?
It's on disc.
Okay, so maybe I can find a used copy or something.
I normally buy all the Telltale games physical, and then once I 1,000 them, I go trade them back in.
Okay, so, yeah, I'm all about. I trade everything back in. Yeah. I can't remember the last time I played full price on a game. I'm always flipping it because I never revisit either.
Once I get to 1,000, I normally don't either. So, all right. So here comes our questions after Nate. All right. So our first one comes from one of our biggest fans. She was actually watching earlier and sent me a text message. Our girl Shy, and she says, "Here's her question, which, Coach, you got back at midnight, so why was there no OT? Devin, guess, what do you think of his excuse?" So, all right, we had an away game, and the deal me and Devin made was he was going to text me and be like, "Hey, I'm back to the hotel from PSX. Yes, let's do this." And I was going to stay up later than normal. I got in at about 12, and I went, "Good night." And I went to bed. And so he forgot to text me too. So we both miscommunicated on that one, but I just went to sleep. So there was no chance for OT. And so all of the boys on the basketball team understood this. Everybody else understood it. I don't know why Shy keeps bringing it up.
Yeah.
We're allowed to take a week off. So that's allowed. But what is your verdict on my excuse? Am I okay or am I not okay?
I feel it's gonna happen. You know, I mean, like I always tell my podcast partner, we're going to try to record every other week. That's the goal.
Mhm.
But there's been times where we've canceled like minutes before, like literally, like we're supposed to record at a certain time because it's just like real life gets in the way.
Yep.
And it's just like, I'd love to do this. I just can't do it because something else is going on. But I kind of had the same feelings as Shy though, because I was like, I know you said in the last episode that you probably wouldn't record, but about the tail end of the week, I was like, dang, there's no OT this week. I know Dev was at PSX. I was there with him. I know they weren't going to do this, but like not even like a best of or something. Not even like a 20 minutes. Like, hey, it's me, it's Mo, I'm alone. Check it out. Just want to say, hey, what's up to everybody? Like, I mean, you could have just like did like a quick 15 and just been like, check me out, flex on the screen, walk out, done. You know, but nah.
In the future, if that happens, I'll do a quick 20-minute story and bounce.
Check in. You know, it's a give and take. You make, I listen. Come on.
I got you guys. My bad.
You can bring your wife on, man.
Actually, me and her have talked about it a couple times. It's just the idea, like for her, she has very, very big like stage fright.
Okay.
And so we almost got her on That's Entertaining once. I remember Nate asked, and I was like, yeah, let me text her right now. And I got the response was not good.
You just cut the camera, have her record from a different room. Boom, you good.
So, love it. Nate, how do you feel about no OT last week?
So here's my feelings on the matter as a novice podcaster myself.
Dude, That's Entertaining is literally one of my favorite podcasts on the internet. You can't call yourself a novice when you have an awesome show.
Novice.
I'm a novice, even though my That's Entertaining is like the #1 movie podcast in the world.
We're true. But so here's my feelings on the matter, and it stinks to miss a week. However,
yes.
if you don't feel like you're gonna bring it the way you want to bring it, then you don't do it. Because I'm all about making quality and putting out a quality product. Something that people would want to listen to. And at the end of the day, if you know something's not feeling right, you know, I'm sick or my co-host is sick, or we don't feel ready to talk about something, I'm saying let's postpone, right? Or in PSVG OT, let's maybe take the week off, right? Because I feel like what you got to do anybody that's listening that ever wants to make a podcast or anything like that, is the #1 thing to do is be regular. That is the #1 thing. But if for some reason you can't make a week, acknowledge it on Twitter or something like that, so that way people can understand what's going on. So that way they're not like, well, I guess this show's over. But just be like, look, I can't bring it the way I want to this week, you guys. It tears me up. This, if you want to explain it, if you can, sure. But if you can't go into the reason, just like, that I'm going to give you a double episode next week or a double dose or something like that, or I'll make it up to you in some way. That's what I think that you'd want to do as far as if you want to skip a weekly show. Now, for That's Entertaining, we're monthly now, so I got to post. So,
man, now y'all guilt tripping me. All right, well, I'll think of something.
I'm just saying that if you got back like at midnight and it would have been like a scramble to even just get ready and get going, don't force yourself, because that way you're just going through the motions and you're not bringing the emotion. Yeah. You know what I mean?
All right.
But you know what? I like that advice, and I'm gonna take that advice as well, because I know there's been times where like I'll tweet something out like, "Hey, we're gonna be recording tonight," or "Send us some questions," whatever, blah blah blah. And then when things happen, it's like, and then I do feel like, dang, I'm cheating the audience, or I do hear from people be like, "Man, what's up? Like it's been, now it's going on 3 weeks or something." I do need to do that. I do need to say, "Hey, I know we said we were gonna do this. Stuff's coming up, whatever," because it's a relationship that you're building with your audience, so I'm going to take that advice. I need to do that.
Accountability is huge. So I'm with you there. Our next question, this actually stems from an argument in class. I think it was Tuesday.
And about why you hate Nintendo?
No.
Is it about how you should have children?
No.
Oh, okay.
So I was talking to the kids about how the game of the year stuff at PSVG was done, how none of my games made the list. So
What
I
are
was
your
like,
games? Better know.
I'm not going to get into that because
Well, I need to know reference. I need reference.
Okay, so like Madden 18, I feel
Okay.
like Madden should be at least in the top 10, let alone, or FIFA should be in the top 1. It was the number 1 best-selling game year round.
Madden or FIFA, sorry, in PSVG.
What?
You're the only one playing FIFA.
I know. Again, I'm saying if we're really voting on games of the year, those are 2 amazing games that didn't even get acknowledged on our list. And so,
Well, you didn't play them.
That's what I'm saying. Okay.
Sorry, I'm just gonna take a seat back here.
So I'm talking to my students about it, and like we're going over this, and we're like fighting in class, and they're like, and so 2 of them are like, "No, Coach Mo, if the other guys don't like your point, Nate, if the other guys aren't playing these games, they can't vote for it." I'm like, "Yes, but isn't that our job? If you're going to be a part of a gaming website, is to dip your toe into every area and to really experience stuff." Even though I hate Nintendo, I have played every major physical release game Nintendo has offered that since launch. I have tried every single one, like multiple hours, and I hate Nintendo because I want to make sure that I can give that opinion. I want to make sure that people are like, well, you hate Zelda, but did you even play it? And I'm like, oh, no, I never tried it. Then you're just a troll. Yes, I put 20 hours into it and hated every minute of it. Okay, like that shows that I've got credibility behind what I'm saying, like why I feel the way I feel. So,
and not just blanketed statements you heard on the internet.
And the troll stuff drives me nuts. Like sometimes I do it to jest with a friend, like it's not normally meant serious. So in this conversation, this came up. Right now, if you were put in a room at IGN, what game would be the game that you would say is game of the year? Like, so if you go in there and you see the crew and you go, hey, my vote is worth 10 votes. I'm voting for this game. What is the game that you pitch? Even if it's not the popular one, this is not the one that you think would win. What is the one that would be the one you would walk in and say, this is game of the year? Nate?
Assassin's Creed Origins, hands down.
Okay. Choff?
This is tough. If you would have asked me last week, it's Edith Finch, hands down.
Yeah.
Now,
great game.
I just started Hellblade this week, and I'm just on the last game of the year. It really, really is. Like, it's everything. Like, it hits the drama, the action. It's unique in its gameplay style. Like, the what's not being said to you about like the character sort of mindset. I'm like, this game's amazing. Like, everybody needs to play this game. So, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice.
And even though my heart wants to say Madden 18, my brain knows the answer is FIFA. FIFA made all the fixes I needed. It has an incredible story mode. The FIFA Ultimate Team is hands down better and less, how do you say it? You can build a great team in FIFA Ultimate Team this year without ever spending a dime, where the last 2 iterations, you had to spend money to even have a chance. I'm playing way more competitive soccer, doing much better with my team, and I'm not spending money. So very, very impressed with the fixes they made. And it's a phenomenal game. Phenomenal game.
I'm really interested in picking up FIFA.
It's
for the Switch, actually.
It's really good on the Switch.
Yeah.
The Ultimate Team stuff's not. I don't even think Ultimate Team's on there, if I remember correctly. It's very watered down FIFA, but it's good. It plays more like FIFA 16 than it does 18 on the Switch. So, all right, moving on to the next one. Our girl Alize says, is there a genre that you think needs help? So is there a genre of games that you think needs an upgrade? Choff.
Yeah, I think I think what really needs an upgrade is the multiplayer and first-person shooter world.
Mhm.
It's become too cookie cutter, too common. Um, I'm waiting for like a new innovation. Um, I'm starting to get really, really bored with them. Like, I mean, Call of Duty used to be my life. The multiplayer, I would just play a
Mhm.
ton of it. And even with Destiny 1, I played a ton of the multiplayer there. But it's I don't know. It's become really dry, really stale. Um, I think the progression systems have become a little too similar between the games.
Mhm.
Now you toss in like loot boxes and things like that, and it's like now everyone's doing it. And sort of going back to, it seems to be like an overarching thread in this podcast today is like the microtransaction piece, like the pay to play. And it's like, I don't know, it needs something different. It needs something fresh. Like I'm waiting for the next, I guess in a sense, like the next Overwatch. Like Overwatch flipped the script a little bit, and I'm waiting for the next one that's going to bring that energy back.
All right, Nate, genre that needs an upgrade.
That's an interesting question. So
She's a smart girl. She's actually had some really good ones, but she never gives me the okay to use them, and so I'm really glad she said yes to this one.
um and I'm gonna see what your thoughts are in this one, because I kind of think that the genre that needs an upgrade is sports games. Um, I know, so they're kind of making those strides a little bit now with Madden adding that story mode piece in, but they need to do more. They need to take more risks, maybe with some game types. Give us the solid stuff that we know and love. But you
Mhm.
know, way back in, was it NBA or NFL 2K7 or whatever, they had first person mode. They were trying different things. They were, putting you in those different situations. I want to see something like that again. I want to see like a Madden game that has a little bit more complexity into it in some way. And I get that you're just playing a football game, right? The story
Mhm.
mode is pretty cool. I'd like to see more of that with more choice, more things that you can do rather than just going down a straight path and being completely disjointed from the rest of the game, like weirdly disjointed. You know what I mean? Controlling
Yeah.
the ball in the middle of the air.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
Um,
But yeah, what do you think?
the reason I would say no to that is the sports IQ that you have to be good at a sports game in a first person situation. That's the reason that game mode got taken out. Was the person who knows to look off a linebacker and to read the difference between a cover two and a cover three, the person who knows the difference between combo coverage and cover four, like to be able to find those gaps and those holes takes a knowledge of the game, and most Madden players don't have it. Like I would say probably 50% of these people just like football. They
Yeah.
have, when I just said combo coverage to four, they have no idea what I'm talking about. And that's okay. Like they don't have to know that. That's not their job. They just enjoy the sport. But when you're talking first person football, you're talking in your cone of vision, you have to know exactly where to look or the game's not going to be fun. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
like that's why that got taken out. That's why like the cone vision got taken out, was because the general player does not know how to use it, and it's really hard to teach somebody those kind of concepts if they don't like actually love that part of football.
But you know what would be rad though is like as you're talking about Kona Vision, imagine Madden in VR.
Oh, I would go bonkers.
That would be so sick.
I'm playing Skyrim in VR right now and I'm loving every minute of it.
Yeah, it's just like throwing passes, like looking left, looking right. Oh, that would be bananas. That'd
Yeah.
be the best. But one thing I like this year that I don't know if it was like brand new for 2K or if they've done it in the past, but they brought in that companion app where it was like a trading card based type of game, and it would help build your characters in game, like it would translate over. I kind of like that concept too. I mean, it was a little shallow, fell a little flat after a while, but just something new to kind of tide you over along the way. Especially for someone like me who doesn't know all the positions well enough. Like I'm that casual sports gamer.
Yeah. And
So
no, I think the
doing something
companion
like
apps
this, yeah,
really
so doing
smart.
something like
Really
this where
smart.
I can just bump up some points along the way without being that person, because I'll never win a game. I get destroyed. so so I'm like, oh, this is how I can improve, because you can't really improve very much when you're like 0 and 25.
All right. My genre that would be upgraded is puzzle games. I play a lot of puzzle games because they're very easy for achievements. I love puzzle games. I just thousand one called Remembered, and it was one of those ones where there was only one level out of I believe there were 10 or 11 that gave me problems. You had to find this little blue flower in this huge field of flowers and street lamps, and like if you didn't know that the little blue flower was part of the puzzle earlier, you wouldn't know to look for it. And so I'm just running around like trying to find like, how do I beat this puzzle? What am I looking for?
Yeah.
Um, I think puzzle games need to kind of take from kind of the Telltale system and give us more of that walking simulator into the puzzle, and then make the crazy puzzles happen. Add quick time events, add a way to find a shortcut or ask for hints. I feel like puzzle games, a lot of the ones we're getting are great puzzlers. There's the Assembly Bridge, which is a really fun one, but I feel like if you are not someone who loves that challenge, you need something that makes it fresh and makes it new and makes it more enjoyable for the average gamer, or the gamer who maybe, hey, you like gamer score like I do, and you want to try something out, but man, you hate puzzle games. Oh, this one has a hint mode and adds some quick time stuff. That might be fun to try. And I think that would be great. I think if puzzle games got a little more love. Like I love The Witness. I had a blast with The Witness, and it's one of those games I wish more people played. But I would love to see
Shout
puzzle
out
games
to the
get an
Witness.
upgrade.
My wife did all the clearances for that game.
It's a
So
great game.
every little piece, she had to do all the contracts, all the images. That was all her. Like her and what's that? The guy who created it. Man, she was just like, "Do you know about this guy?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh yeah, like right now I'm partnered up with him." I was like, "Oh, sick."
That's incredible. All right. So our last question is student didn't want to give their name, so I'm going to call him no name. And it says, would you do this for a living? So would you guys want to talk video games, be a podcaster for a living? We'll start with you, Nate.
Sure. I think it'd be fun. The like, just like you mentioned earlier about podcasting and things like that. I started doing That's Entertaining in 2014 because I wanted to talk about movies. I've always been kind of a guy that loves movies and just likes to talk about them, watch them, get with my friends and see what they thought. And just being able to talk about that with people is pretty cool. And if I got paid to do that and be like a movie critic or a game critic with PSVG type stuff, yeah, that'd be really cool. I would do it. Plus, it's one of those things where I can work from home and I could be more with my son, maybe. So that'd be fun.
Yeah.
How about you, Joff?
Yes, 100% yes. This kind of ties into a question my wife asked me after going to the PlayStation experience. She was just like, well, like, you really love gaming that much that you would go 2 days. And she wasn't questioning like harshly. She was just like, trying to get in my head. And she's like, you would go to this thing 2 days and really enjoy it and not be bored. And I was like, yeah, 100%. I was like, I really, really enjoy the culture. I enjoy the different genres. I enjoy seeing like what's new and what's changing, and even talking about games I played in the past. I was like, it really is it's my thing. It's the thing I'd love to do. Um, so yeah, totally 100%. I'd love to do that. Um, I think I would love to do it in a facility though, like in a true studio setting where I could have like having this conversation, but having you guys in the room with me, kind of bouncing that energy a little more. But yeah, for sure, that'd be rad.
See, I'm torn on this one. Like 50% of me is like, yes, this would be awesome. I could talk video games. I could play video games. I could write about video games. I remember this summer I had like 2 weeks where I was just working on reviews and playing games, and that's all I had to work on. And I remember after the first 3 days, I was bored out of my mind. So like, I think for me, like I would be able to do this, but I would be like a really good part-time hire. Like I would be, hey, yep, he's seasonal. That is a seasonal staff member, because like I love doing other stuff. Today, like I I I had an opportunity to go over for Saturday school, and I got to go help kids, and I got to go work with them in the classroom, and I loved it. And a couple weeks ago, I had basketball on a Saturday, and traveling and coaching and going out of town and going to school dances and hanging out with the kids. Like I feel like doing both makes me so happy. I couldn't imagine like taking one away.
Yeah.
So,
You still want to have that diversity.
yeah. So I'm right in the middle. Well, it's been a good show. It's been long. Donnie's probably going to be mad at somebody. I'm going to vote Nate.
Well, no, because I mean, you didn't go last week, so you're giving him some extra this week.
I love that. Hey, Donnie, when you hear that, that's what I was going to say. But
Yeah,
Nate,
that makes sense.
So, all right. So wrapping up, Choff, talk about your podcast. Talk about things you have coming up, so that all of our audience can know and go support you and love on you a little bit, bud.
Yeah, so I do a podcast. Me and my partner Sean, we do a podcast called Games We Don't Play. We're just two dads who don't have a lot of time to play video games, so we talk about our family lives, we talk about our work lives, and then we talk about the games that we do get to play. I tend to play a lot more than he does. Like Sean just barely started playing Mass Effect Andromeda. Still has like GTA in the packaging. So. But it's kind of just like dad life. That's just really what we're all about. We do get a little racy and off color, so be prepared for that if children listen. But it's just us being genuine, and you can find me, out on Twitter at that Chaufie, Chaufie. Same thing. You want to game with me too? You can find me on Xbox, on the PlayStation Network. Chaufie, Chaufie. Yeah, I'd give you my Nintendo friend code, but that thing's way too lengthy, and I wish you could just share your screen name. That'd be tight. But right now, just biggest thing on the horizon for me is winter break. Got like one more week.
1 week away.
I get to be off. Then I get to finally see Star Wars. I got a birthday on Wednesday, so man, I'm out here. I'm living.
Right. Love it. Hey, how about you, brother?
Well, first off, I just want to say I'm glad that someone's playing Mass Effect Andromeda. It was not a bad game, people. Maybe not as. It was like the Phantom Menace. It couldn't live up to the hype.
I like the Phantom Menace. I don't know what y'all talking about. That movie
I
was
like the
dope.
Phantom Menace too. It was fine, but it's just like people get things built up in their head, and there's just no way that it can actually meet that. But I'm actually wearing a Mass Effect shirt right now, so just
Phantom Menace. The reaction to Phantom Menace was the precursor to what the internet would be down the road.
It's true. So you can find me obviously on Twitter at Voice by Nathan, on Xbox, and everywhere else pretty much at Spider Jedi. I do my little podcast that's entertaining. Mentioned it before. The next episode I do will be on The Last Jedi, the new Star Wars movie, and you can find that podcast at all the little podcast feeds. That's entertaining.net, or follow on Twitter at entertainingpod.
All right. And of course, you can find me at Coach Hulk. I'm still working on a piece that will be coming out hopefully over the Christmas break. It's now well over a couple thousand words. So I'm going to have to do some trimming and cutting and editing, but I'm really excited and I love where it went. It's just on fanboys and the ideology behind it. I'm really excited to share it out. I have my wife's been helping me out with some editing and cleaning it up and getting me back on track, because I took a little tangent on something. We had like a little PSVG argument over sports games a while back, and I took like this little trip on sports games. And I was like, let's keep it where I was. And so I had to cut some stuff out. But I'm really jacked to share that with you guys when I wrap that up. And of course, you can find me, at Coach Hulk on Xbox. Thanks to Nate. He's the one who got the name change, because he was like, "Why don't you change your name?" And I was like, "Oh, I can do that on Xbox. Can't do it on PS4." And my Switch code is I don't like the Switch. at Coach Bob. So you can look that up. Go right ahead. Thank you guys so much for listening. And for us, that's game over.
Peace.